welcome to the Campbell TV studio here in Bowie's Creek for Inside Women's Basketball. This week we're joined by assistant coach Pierre Miller, who's taken his time to sit down with us here today. And Pierre, how about this hectic week for your basketball team? 4 games in 6 days, and you face the top 2 scoring offenses in the Big South. What did you learn about your club this week?
I think one of the biggest things we learned is that, you're facing 2 really challenging opponents, and, the smallest mistakes can cost you, and that you have to be locked in every single moment of the game. Any moment that you slip up, the best teams will make you pay.
It was interesting in that High Point series. We'll start on Monday and Tuesday. You had the scout for those matchups. You knew any better than anybody how to defend this High Point team. And Lauren McNamara-Clement, boy, was she special. 21 points on Tuesday, averaged nearly 20 in those 2 games. How valuable is she in the post when she can score like that?
Huge, huge. We had a really solid game plan going into it, and we felt like we had an advantage offensively with Lauren, Mack, and Taya and the rest of our post players in the paint, and we capitalized on it. Obviously, they're a huge 3-point shooting team, and they were able to knock down some shots and kind of exploit what they thought was their advantage. But overall, I felt like Lauren Mack played with a lot of confidence, and she played really tough. She was a beast in the post.
Let's focus on the senior for a second and dive into the footage from these 2 games, because Lauren not only was fantastic, she was getting the ball from the start.
Yeah, I thought Lauren had a really aggressive mindset. I thought she really sold all of her moves. She had great touch around the basket. I thought High Point was frustrated trying to guard her. They couldn't guard her, and Lauren was able to keep momentum going each time she caught the ball, and you build a confidence that way, especially when you're able to score with both hands.
And that's beating the player of the year in Skylar Curran in game 1.
Oh, definitely, definitely. Lauren didn't care who was on her in that game. She was able to score over each defender. And it was really cool to see her score like that and use her body in that way.
What does it take then to bounce back in game 2 and to have the pressure of an opponent and shoot 9 of 13 in that second game?
Yeah, I think you just build from that game 1, and you try to capitalize, and learn from the mistakes that you made and continue to go to the hot hand and what helped you almost win the game, the prior game.
This was kind of the story of the whole week, Pierre, but 4 games by less than 10 points. Unfortunately, on the tough end of those 2 High Point matchups. What do you learn now about being the hunter as opposed to being the hunted with that preseason expectation?
Yeah, Evan, it's a great question. Something that Coach is constantly preaching to our players, and they know it. We have a bullseye on our back, defending Big South champs. But it's something that we are able to accept that pressure and understand it's going to be there, but we have to just focus on improvement. Every single day is what we preach, and some games are not going to go our way, but we're going to persevere and continue to, push through any adversity that will come this season. So, yeah.
Fast forward to this past weekend, you take on Longwood, a club with great offense themselves, but one of the players who stood out in this series was Michaela Coleman. Not a huge scorer in the scouting report, but she averaged 9 points and 9 rebounds. What did she provide for your team?
Well, Meek is by far one of the toughest players that we've ever coached, that I've ever seen, I've ever coached. She plays so hard on both ends of the floor, and she gives you every single thing she has day in and day out, practice to the game and everything she does. Very high character player, and fortunately she was able to make some really impactful plays for our team, and it's cool to see her do those things.
Especially with Michaela, who's not going to shoot a jumper. She's going to drive to the basket. What was she able to provide on the boards? And then really, in game 2, start that game with 6 early points.
Just so much energy and so much effort. She has such a high motor. She's able to weave herself in places and go get rebounds and loose balls, and it's exciting to see that. And to have a player like that on the floor, it just brings so much energy to your team.
Pierre, unfortunately, game 2 came down to the closing seconds. Your team was not able to win. Game 1 in the closing seconds, you got a victory.
Yeah.
How do you handle that pressure as a coach when both games come down to the closing minutes?
Emotionally, you try to stay even keel. We're a very passionate coaching staff. We don't want to lose any game, and you're trying to keep your head locked in on what is your plan going into each game. Unfortunately, it didn't go our way, and credit to Longwood and their coaching staff. They made the right plays, and McMakin, she made some really huge plays down the stretch. And we weren't able to counter it and capitalize. And so credit to them, but I feel like our team had a chance, like you said, to win both games and get the sweep, but we just didn't.
Pierre, this is a great week coming up. You guys head to Clinton, South Carolina, where you yourself were a player for Presbyterian just a short few years ago. So, Pierre, we want to turn back the clock a little bit and look back at some great pictures of your staff that's so connected to this Presbyterian program.
Yeah, let's
Let's
check it
start
out.
with yourself in 2012, not too long ago. How much has Pierre grown up in those short 8 years?
Oh man, I was a young man. You could see I had a little bit of hair left, and still growing in my understanding of the game, and not sure necessarily what I was going to do with my future. Fortunately, I was able to stay in basketball and give back to the game that I love, and stay in the same conference. But that seemed like so long ago.
Pierre, your mentor who helped you get a start in the coaching tenure, Ronnie Fisher. Look at that difference from Ronnie when he was coach of the year at Presbyterian to now. But what is it like following in his footsteps and being here at Campbell now?
It's amazing. Like you said, Coach Fisher's a great mentor to me. There's nobody else I would love to learn the game from. Like I said, always a father figure, a family man, and just really approaches each day with the idea of getting better and improving one day at a time. And I love working for him.
It was neat because he was your coach not only as a player on the
Yeah.
men's side, hired you on the women's staff, really got your career started in the coaching world.
He did, yeah. I owe a lot to Coach Fisher. He's done a ton for me, and I can't help but appreciate everything he's done. It's been awesome to be able to stay around him and to learn from him.
Pierre, what makes this weekend so fascinating, also the support staff part of the squad as
Yep.
well. So Cerise Smith, 6 years ago, played for Presbyterian. How valuable has she been to your team?
She's been amazing. Sharice is one of those people that you can just tell her something one time and she gets it up here and she's able to do it. Such a smart, intelligent person and such a joy and so easy to work with. It's been a pleasure working with her.
It helps that she had a 3.97 GPA in college. Certainly
Very
smart.
smart.
And Casey Reffner, who played at Presbyterian when you were at the Campbell staff, now to have her on the operations side. What is that like as a coach when you compete against someone and then have her join your staff a year later?
It's pretty cool. You know, you see her on the scouting report one year, and then she's on your staff with you, and she just brings so much insight to the game, and she's one of the hardest working people that I've ever been around as well. Always looking, towards what is the next thing I need to get done for our program, and so it's been a joy to work around Casey as well.
Since this staff is so connected to that town and that community, you met your wife in Clinton as well, Marissa, so
Yep.
much going on for you. What does it mean to return home and face Presbyterian this week?
It's always a special time. This time it's going to be a little different. There's no fans in the stands, but that court, that gym, that place means so much when you spent so much time there. And, you reminisce on so many great memories that you had back then. And so I just look forward to playing. I know our staff does. It's a series that we want to try to give our very best and hopefully come out on top.
And the most important part, two teams in the middle of the conference trying to climb their way up. So Friday and Saturday, some big games. Pierre, we really appreciate the time on this episode.
Evan, I appreciate it. Thank you for your time, and go Camels.